have a big agenda, so what we'll do tonight is actually have the regular council meeting where we will have full motions and decisions. But we'll also have the delegations, presentations, public question periods, so by combining both meetings, we'll be able to get everything done, so. I'd just like to acknowledge that we are within the Gwich'in settlement area and adjacent to the Inuvik settlement area. Home to the Inuvik, the Gwich'in Indigenous people from other parts of Canada, and also people from other parts of Canada and the world, and it makes for a great community. And we're all happy to be here serving Inuvik. So with that, we will do the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Gillis, seconded by Councillor Wayman. All in favor?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Councillor Barrett, Councillor Merrill, feel free to holler out because we won't be able to see you if you have any questions, comments, making any motions.
Thank you.
Right. Item number 3, declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest with any of the agenda items.
Oh.
Councillor Gillis.
It's an information item, but I still want to make note, 4.1, just because I'm one of the board of directors on the IRC.
Okay, yeah, I don't think that's a problem. It is an information item. Council isn't making any decisions on that, or we're not permitting it or anything, so no problem. Thanks for acknowledging that, but no problem with that. Nothing further. Delegations, presentations, and petitions. 4.1, we have the Inuvik Energy Security Project update, and we have Travis Volaski from there, and he's going to give us an update, and I believe we're going to project it.
Yeah, thanks Mayor Clarkson and councilors for having us tonight. I know that a lot of these materials, there's definitely some people in the room that are very familiar with this project, but I'll just do kind of a zoomed out 50,000 foot view of what this is and what it has become and what the next 2 years looks like. So I'll clip through this pretty quick. There's a lot of images here, which I think helps tell a little bit of a story. For anybody that's looking for this presentation, it's actually on the IRC website. Under the Petroleum Corporation and under IESP.
It's not working? Oh, sorry. I might have to do it for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
We're going through lots of slides, so I'll say next fast. Okay, you can go to the next one. So as people know,
Sorry.
the ITH was completed in 2017 and it went right by one of the, well, really the only last remaining deep gas well that was still accessible that hadn't been fully remediated. And that's the M18 well, which sits about 4 kilometers off of the ITH once it was completed. And we have now completed a 4 kilometer road into the M18 well. That was conducted over about 3 different winters. We built the M18 road. There's a whole bunch of pictures of it coming up. We actually got to repurpose a bridge from McClavic. There's a stream about 2 kilometers on the access way that we were recommended by the communities to use a bridge. So we used that old bridge that was into the borders of the mountains from McClavic. So that was used, which was great. And we were able to complete the M18 well workover last year. So now we have a producing gas well sitting on the site. Whole bunch of images coming, which we'll click through and show pictures of this. This is after 4 years of permitting, and Alan, I don't know where we're at, but we're somewhere probably between 150 and 200 community meetings. Obviously, a lot of them remotely during the COVID time, but a lot of community engagement with this project. We spent 1 year in the Environmental Impact Screening Committee. It did not go to review board. And then we spent 3 years with the Canada Energy Regulator. We track all project commitments. They're actually put up publicly on the CER website every quarter. And we try and knock those off as fast as we can. Some commitments are short-term, some are long-term, but I think we track over 1,000 commitments. And that'll be for the duration of the entire project. The well has a 50-year plus lifespan. So it's a very long-term resource for the region. And it's focused on making two products. One is synthetic diesel and the other one is compressed natural gas. Click ahead.
Sorry, it's sensitive.
It's finicky, eh?
Yeah.
We've had, just one thing to note on the bottom, we've had about $30 million in local work, local business contracts that's been done on the site. Obviously, a lot of that was around accommodations and the gravel hauls that we've had on the road construction. And we've peaked around 70 Inuvik, and Gwich'in beneficiaries on the job at one time, most of that being during the winter season. We've got some stuff here on the wildlife monitoring and the health, safety and environment plan, but I'll touch on that later. Go ahead. This is just an overview of the permitting process. So there was consultations which began actually before I was even on the project. Alan, who's in the room, was actually on at that time in kind of a different version of the project, but in 2018 with environmental studies actually began on the project. And then it went into environmental impact screening in 2020. That was approved in 21. And then we went through the CER process to where we are today, where we're fully approved at the CER level. It's been broken up into three kind of major phases. One, what we call early site works, which was the gravel works, the bridge, the pads where the facility and the well are, as well as the piles. So the only thing remaining in early site works would be the piling. And that's planned to start here at the end of 2025 and go into early 26. This presentation says about 700 piles. We might be a little bit closer to 1,000 as engineering finishes, but that's the estimate on ad freeze piles right now. With the well workover, that was the second phase that was approved. That was completed last winter. Right now, so the well is in a state that it can be produced at. Right now it's sitting with a plug in the bottom though, because it was going to be dormant for another 18 months or so. So we did put a plug back into the well. And then the third phase is the one that we're just getting into, which is the actual facility. So we've started to construct facility modules, which will be a combination of barge shipment as well as over the road shipment. I'll touch on that in a second. Go ahead. This is just some of the work that we did. There's been considerable amount of environmental and wildlife studies in this area. We do regular screening, some of it's monthly monitoring, some of it's quarterly, and some of it's annual. We produce all these reports. A lot of the hunters and trappers committees see these as well as the joint secretariat. So Alan, who's here with me, has a whole host of things that we do here from a reporting perspective. So this is actually what the site looked like when IRC was looking to purchase back the concession and the well. We had a sump that was failing. So this was, people in the region are very familiar with failing sumps, but we had obviously a whole bunch of water collecting. We had kind of salty water that was tailing off the back of this sump here. And what we ended up doing was a plan to encapsulate it. So instead of digging it out and creating a whole bunch of heat into the permafrost, which could have damaged the well, we actually encapsulated it. So covered it in a huge, like basically a 10-foot pile of gravel is what sits on top of this. You can go to the next slide. So that's what the sump cap looked like. And then once this remediation was complete, this was actually an obligation of the original well owners. It wasn't an obligation of IESP or IRC. We then took the well at this point when we had remediated the sump. That sump has ground temperature cables within it so that we're able to monitor that permafrost interface between the bottom of the sump cap and the original sump interface to make sure that we got freeze back. And in the last couple of years, we've actually seen really good freeze back of the permafrost and obviously protecting that sump. That cap is much larger than the actual original sump. So it's covering a much larger area and making sure that we're covering up that original sump. Go ahead. These were the early images of when we went in to do sump remediation. There's that creek at the midway point. It doesn't look like much of a creek at this time of the year, but in the spring, we do see quite a bit of flooding there. It is a low-lying area. So there's a lot of questions around putting in a bridge, but I think in hindsight, it looks like the right decision, especially when you see it in the spring. That kind of floodplain opens up to probably about 80 to 100 feet wide. It fills up quite a bit when the ice blocks up downstream. Keep going. We started, I guess, full road construction at this time in October of 23, and most of that was completed during that 23-24 winter. You can go ahead. Just some more pictures of the road construction. Keep going. Equalization culverts obviously along the way. We do have one fairly large hill that we had to get up and a fairly large embankment we built there. So once you going into site, about 2 kilometers in is the bridge crossing, and then there's a fairly large pitch up a hill, which you can see in that left picture. Keep going. And then we get to the facility pad. So keep going through the pictures. Here's a better one here from just this past winter. So this is actually where the facility will sit. When we see an image coming up later of the facility, you'll get a better visualization of what this is going to look like, but that sits a little bit to the north west of the well site. And about 250 meters will be the above ground line that goes from the wellhead over to this facility pad. For size wise, that's about 5 to 6 acres, just for scale. Keep going. This was the bridge installation, which was also done this last winter. Keep going. Piles on both sides. It's a forestry bridge, timber deck. Keep going. Along. That's them backfilling, putting in the main beams. And then obviously getting near completion there, and then a final grade. We went back in here at the right before Christmas time last year, and we actually took the road back up to kind of full grade after we'd had some settling. So I would say the road right now is in like really good shape. We've had kind of 2 seasons now of getting it to grade and settling. The energy pad, we did fight quite a bit with last year, but we got a really good cap on the energy pad this past earlier in the winter. So we're hoping that the energy pad will hold up pretty good. I think similar experience as what we've seen on the ITH, where you just have to work a couple of years with the material to get the moisture out. Keep going. There's the final bridge last summer, or spring, I guess. And then there's a good visual on the right. You can see, obviously on the left, you can see the bridge more in the forefront, and then the 2 kilometers leading up to the well pad on the left and the energy pad on the right. And then the image on the right is obviously a lot more zoomed in, and you can see the well pad, which with that sump cap, as well as the energy pad on the right. Keep going. I'm not going to go through these words, but go to another slide. So what we did with the well workover, to get to the Kamek Reservoir, which is where the gas is coming from, this is about 2,600 meters deep. The bottom 2,000 meters is kind of standard, so 2 7/8 inch. It's actually pretty small for the rate we're going to produce this well at. And then the top 600 meters, we had to go to a vacuum jacketed tubing, and that was to protect the permafrost. So the top 500 or 600 meters, I can't remember exactly, but the permafrost is about 360 meters here. The top 500 meters, though, is going to be a vacuum jacketed tubing, prevents the heat leak into the permafrost. And we carry the gas up at fairly high velocity, and that's to prevent heat leak as well as to lift liquids. This is a fairly liquids rich well. It has a lot more heavier hydrocarbons than what you'd see at Ickhill. Ickhill is predominantly methane. This is lots of methane, but it has a lot of other ethane. It has lots of NGLs or natural gas liquids, and it actually has a lot of free condensate as well. So high velocity helps us pick those liquids up and then get them to the facility. Keep going. This is just showing the exposure of the well. So we had to dig back, obviously, the wellhead and get the original wellhead exposed. That culvert is a cellar which the base of the well actually sits in. So we had to extend that up to about 2 to 3 meters. I think we brought that cellar up, and that was so that we could build that sump cap around the wellhead and build kind of a well pad to lift up that whole area to make sure that we were protecting that original sump. And keep going. This is showing, obviously, when we took off the original wellhead. The new wellhead was placed on at the end of the operation last March. Keep going. This is showing setting up the service rig, the extension of the wellhead on the left-hand side that we had to lift up to grade. Going. There's a good overview of what the operation looked like. So we brought in, not typical for what you would see in the south, but we brought in all services at one time. Just in the event we ever had a hiccup for any reason, we wanted all services to be on site. Usually you would stage a well workover and bring in the pieces as you need them, but we had all different services on site at once. You had flare, you had production testing, you had the well service rig, we had snubbing, we had our storage on site already. So we mobilized everything for about 40 days to do this operation, early March to early April. Keep going. There's some images of the different equipment that was used. The picture on the left was actually the first time we went into the well. The operation started with what had happened when they drilled the well 24 years ago. They had put in 2 cement plugs. One was at about 500 meters down and one was down at the formation about 2,500 meters down. And that was just in the original casing. So you had basically a 9-inch open hole with these big cement plugs in it. So we had to drill out, we had to mill both plugs. We then did logging, or we ran tools on the well to make sure that the casing and the structure of the well was still good integrity, which checked out really good, which was positive. We didn't have any sort of reason to believe that there would be any issues with the well, but we did verify it, which was good news. And then after that, you fill it with a fluid, so brine, a heavyweight fluid that holds the gas down while you can set the production tubing in the packer. So that now it's only a 2 7/8 hole instead of a 9-inch hole. Keep going. We did a couple of tours. That's actually the Tuck School that got to visit in late March. And then there's obviously some of the flaring that we did. I'm sure people saw lots of pictures online when this was going on last winter. And we did a couple-day flow test. We were able to get compositions of the well and verify a lot of our engineering for the input of the facility, which was great. So I'll talk to this picture for a second. So this obviously is computer generated of what this facility is kind of going to look like. So the well's off to the top left there. That'll be that 250, 260 meter line that comes over to the facility. How the facility works is we take out condensate first. So we have that heavy, almost free diesel that comes out of this gas. We'll drop that out first. That's in that kind of red building in the middle there. And then most of the gas will go to that yellow, the bigger yellow building on the left. And that's where we're going to make a compressed natural gas. So we're doing a little bit of separation there to get a more pure methane stream. And then it's loaded into compressed trailers. So the compressed trailers are in the green there at the bottom front of the picture. And that's just a high pressure compressed gas. Most of that's going to come to Inuvik and then go into the IGL system. So we're currently working with IGL on what that's going to look like and how we're going to integrate into the current system. Inuvik's really the only community that can consume CNG today, so all of this is really for Inuvik. Then every other hydrocarbon that couldn't be put into the CNG is basically going into that purple building, the big purple one, and that's the gas to liquids process. How that works is you break apart the hydrocarbons into the kind of their base elements, and then you recombine them into a fuel. So it's called Fischer-Tropsch. It's been around a long time. We're using a certain version of it where you basically make a really heavy hydrocarbon and then you actually refine it back to a diesel. So we make a heavy hydrocarbon after we break it apart, and then we combine it with that condensate that we picked up at the start. And we hydro treat that into an Arctic diesel. So this makes quite a bit of Arctic diesel, which will go through on kind of all the typical distribution channels today throughout the Beaufort Delta and ISR. And then everything on the right-hand side of the picture is basically power generation, aerial cooling, and support utilities for the facility. Diesel will be loaded from those yellow kind of vertical tanks. And then obviously there's an office and small warehouse on the right-hand side there. One of the things that the communities were really sensitive to was light. And so all of the lighting on the facility, we're obviously trying to direct light, so you're not lighting this thing up like it's some big football stadium or something like that, but you're trying to point all your lighting down. And then we went with an enclosed flare. That's what the top right, or I guess the top of the picture there, that kind of teal color. So that'll be like a hidden flare. The fire is in that big can and it won't be an open light. Flare is only for emergency situations, so it's not a regular operation. Keep going. That's a super technical layout, which we probably don't need to walk through, but that's just the overhead view of the facility. We talked about most of that. You can go to the next slide. So just schedule wise, where are we at? So I mentioned the piles in late 25. We'll start that. We do have barge delivery booked for this summer. So there are some components coming internationally as well as some from Western Canada. Barge delivery is not going up the Mackenzie. There was some stuff stuck on the Mackenzie last year and people keep texting us thinking it was our stuff, but it's not our stuff. Ours is coming out of Prince Rupert and Vancouver area, out of the Delta, and that'll go around Alaska next late July, August. It'll land in Tuck and we'll stage it in Tuck. And then we'll have trucked modules coming up the fall, early part of 2026. And this will lead to kind of a heavy construction. Once the piles are in later this year, early next year, we'll go into major construction kind of about a year from now on site, where we'll be setting major equipment. Then you'll then work into spring where you're pulling electrical and instrumentation, and then the plan is to begin commissioning in 2026 and seeing first gas in late 2026. Probably not gonna flip through all these. I can just touch on it quickly. We do have a very elaborate management system where we've had to incorporate really 8 years of studies, consultations, and regulatory process to make sure that we're meeting all the commitments we've made and responding accordingly and making sure we're not missing things. So there's a lot of effort into this. There's been a lot of training started. There's a lot of training to go though, when it comes to the communities, first responders, contractors, and even the staff that's going to operate this. So we have a framework and it's the beginning, but a long ways to go. And this will be forever adapting to whoever's a part of this project long term. You can jump over these ones. We touched on monitoring, very elaborate monitoring. We go through regular review of some of the programs within our management system right now. We're actually going through our wildlife management monitoring plan right now. It's going through its kind of annual review with Hunters and Trappers Committee and Joint Secretariat in the government. So we're doing that right now, but happy to answer questions on any of this stuff. Lots of different groups are involved in this program. Cool. Now the one that we all like to talk about. So how this is working is we do have some kind of key engineering and construction firms that are managing the overall project that are out of the south, and they're obviously reporting into the IESP IPC project management team. And there's a combination of, so when it comes to business opportunities, it's either going to be coming directly from IESP or it'll be coming from the major construction vendors. So it's a combination of how bids are being put out. An example would be, we just put out an early pile bid we were looking at, and that actually came from one of the major construction partners of ours. But we're obviously directing them that we do have a benefits agreement that we need to follow, and it has to be Inuvik, local, then territorial, then abroad. So we have to follow that. So anytime that we have a quality business or credible business that can do work, they get first dibs on the work. So that's the focus of this. As far as the long-term jobs, we've been starting to advertise this a bit more. We've seen a little bit of uptake locally here, understanding that we're kind of limited on some of these trades and even available people to do this work. But the big ones, power engineering and maintenance. So electricians, millwrights, instrument techs. We do have some locals that have shown interest either to get training, or they have training and they want to come back, or they're doing schooling somewhere. And we're just trying to, it's almost case by case where we're trying to figure out a career path for these people. And we're definitely learning as we go. So this is in its infancy as well, but very focused on how we're going to get more local businesses on site and get people working on this job. Go ahead. This is on the IESP website for people that are interested. We have a bit more detail on how we consult, how we intake people, the different supports we can tap into. And we have a bit more detail as well on the types of roles and the education it takes. But the skilled ones are really those trades. And that's about it. I'll stop there.
Thanks, Travis. Questions from council? One quick question, Travis. You said all of the gas will actually be coming to Inuvik and the diesel may go to the other communities, but there's no plans for getting gas or gasification of Tuck or the power plant?
We have been had a little bit of talk with NTPC because the Tuck generators are getting a little bit later in their life cycle right now. I shouldn't speak for NTPC, but it is being looked at as a dual fuel, where Tuck could be a combination of gas diesel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've certainly seen that might be an option given that it's right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Councilor McDonald?
Yeah, just when you were talking about the jobs on the bottom, it mentioned household savings, or potential household savings? Is there a projection on how much savings it might?
I'll be careful with it because
Yeah, I'm not holding you to anything this.
I'll speak to what I know.
Okay.
It's a little trickier when we're selling it to the power corp, because obviously they've got a blended rate base throughout the territory and other ways of determining pricing, so I don't know how that's totally gonna work yet, because I can't speak for them. When it's going more direct through like the distribution utilities, that's a little clearer on how that's gonna work, so whether it's a fuel oil for the house or whether it's through IGL, it's a little clearer. We've kind of always said somewhere between 20 and 40% is a number that we've always used. Understanding that we're an infrastructure, the one difference is we're an infrastructure project. We're not tied to commodities at all, right? So the gas coming out of the ground it is what it is. It's fixed. It's not tied to any commodity. And we're just a big capital project that has an operating cost. So our price is kind of fixed forever. What you're saving is a little bit volatile because some days diesel price is high, but during COVID, diesel price was really low. So you wouldn't save much at that time. So it's a little bit hard to have a perfect number, but one thing it does provide is you have a local supply of energy for a long time at a fixed price, and the fixed price is on the lower end of what pricing has ever been, so that's positive.
And it sounds like you know what it's gonna be long term, with the fluctuation is gonna be there.
Yeah, you're just fighting inflation and
Yeah.
people and materials, you're not fighting commodity markets, which the region doesn't have a lot of control over.
Travis, on those 20 jobs, were some of those truck driver jobs also driving the compressed natural gas, or would that be tendered out, or how will that be done?
That'll be tendered out.
Hmm.
So the IESP itself is right now focused on just operating the facility. So those
Okay.
direct jobs are just tied to the facility.
Okay.
Whether it's environment, wildlife, or the actual operating and maintenance of the facility. The trucking will be coordinated by IESP because you can't not be a part of it as a producer. But the intent is not to own those assets.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions from council? Any questions? Councilor Parrott, Councilor Romero?
None, thanks. I don't have any, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Travis, and thanks for making the presentation and coming up, but very informative and a lot bigger operation than I thought it was going to be. When you're talking 1,000 pilings, that's a lot of holes in the ground. Given that the school next door, just relatively speaking, school next door was 450. So twice that many plus, so yeah, that's a lot of piles.
Thanks, Mayor Clarkson. Thanks, councilors.
Okay, thanks. Our next delegation is an update on Operation Nanook, and we have Sebastian Menard is here to give that. Welcome, Sebastian.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I will be providing an update based on what you were told last week by my task force commanding officer and his chief of staff when they visited last week. So before I begin, I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Captain Sebastian Menard. I'm from the south, from Kingston, Ontario. I work in civil military cooperation. So what that is it's the civil factor integration into military planning and the civil military interactions while on operation. So it's assessments, analysis, and engagements, such as key leader engagements or engagements like this, just informing the local population on what it is that we're doing and how we can better integrate into all of that. So for this operation specifically, for Operation Nanook Nunalabut 2025, I am the Community Engagements Officer. And so with that, I've been doing and planning, liaising, coordinating, and scheduling outreach events, so such as at the schools, and with the local community, with the Arctic market in 2 weeks, and the opening ceremony for the IRC Cup puck drop, and so on. So today I will be presenting, fresh off the press, an order, or part of an order that outlines where we are in the operation and where we intend to be in the next couple weeks. So it may not be as interactive as the last one, but I promise you it'll be as informative as I read through a bit of the scheme of maneuver of the operation, outlining what key elements and components in what they're doing in the next couple of weeks. So we've now transitioned into phase 4 of the operation. We've just completed phase 3 a couple of days ago. And we've now started the reception, staging, onward movement, and integration of the troops and a lot of the bodies of the operation, the departments, the various sections and such. And we're going into employment, which will take place from the 23rd, yesterday, until March 9th. The Joint Task Force maneuver elements will deploy in sequence on their assigned tasks throughout the joint operating environment, the joint operating area, culminating in their return to Inuvik and transition to phase 5. And that's we're looking at after March 9th. So first, the 1st Canadian Ranger Patrol Group will conduct enabling operations with patrols attached to all maneuver elements from mobility, predator control, and survival. There won't be an element that will deploy, we say on the trace out in the environment without having rangers attached to them or closely monitoring them. The Land Task Force headquarters will conduct reconnaissance and prepare for deployment once their main body arrives. Upon arrival, the Land Task Force will conduct ranges, then deploy to secure Bar BA3 via ground move and Bar 2 via air mobile. So you'll notice a lot of either Chinook or Griffin helicopters, and they'll be supporting that. The Land Task Force engineers will move to Tuktoyaktuk and conduct non-kinetic engineer tasks within the community. We're still looking at what activities or projects in the community we can support with, and within our own limitations as CAF members and as CAF engineer. Land Task Force forces will patrol their northern warning sites, then return to Inuvik. The Air Task Force will enable freedom of movement throughout the joint operating area with tactical airlift, resupply, and emergency response. So this next organization is the International Cooperative Engagement Program for Polar Research, or we call them ICE paper for short. ICE paper will confirm preparatory rehearsals and then deploy upon their long-range patrol as per the map that was briefed to you last week. The long-range patrol to include Bar 3, arrival at Tuktoyaktuk no later than 27 Feb for a community relations event happening in 28 Feb, which I'll be participating in. And then the arrival at the ski landing area once that's been established. We're currently in coordination and talks with the Inuvik Hunters and Trappers Committee, as well as the Tuktoyaktuk Hunters and Trappers Committee, as we've had to relocate the ski landing area due to limited ice in the more northern region. And so once that is either decided or not, we will establish the ski landing area for a C-130 with skis to land on. And we're looking to land on, for the first time ever, on a freshwater landing. And so that'll be with US counterparts who are looking to make history in Canada. And so that's going to be determined in the coming days. I just finished a meeting with one of those organizations. The Advanced Naval Capabilities Unit, or ANCU, will deploy and conduct maritime evaluations using unmanned aerial systems, so drones, within Inuvik, preparing a practice of evaluations for more maritime regions. They will subsequently test and evaluate the remote operating vehicle, which is basically a drone underwater, capabilities with the Dive Task Force in Tuktoyaktuk on the 20th of February, followed by a patrol from Inuvik to Ranger Station to increase their experience and familiarization of cold weather operations. Upon completion, ANCU forces will then return to Inuvik. As they're the Navy, they will also be supported by the Rangers. I'm Army myself, so I have a bit more experience in the cold environment, but they will be supported greatly throughout this operation. Next, the Dive Task Force will finalize acclimatization, then move to Tuktoyaktuk for dive site setup and execution. Upon completion, the Dive Task Force forces will then return to Inuvik. So they head up, I think tomorrow, they'll start moving troops up to conduct their operations from the 27th until the 2nd, diving below the ice, which I think is something that's happened here 2 years ago as well in this region. And finally, the Defense Research and Development Canada, the RDC, personnel would link up with the land task force forces to enable the science and technology tracking and data collection. As you were briefed last week, part of this operation is S&T, science and technology. We're testing out new gear. If it's not ice paper, it's with DRDC. And those are new sleeping bags with sensors to see which parts are getting colder at night in this more harsh temperature up north, as well as other equipment such as boots and personal equipment that you would use for these types of operations in the Arctic region. So that concludes the next bound for Operation Inuvik. And so now that the troops and now that the various elements have arrived, we've prepared them, they've been staging, and in the coming days, they'll be stepping off to conduct their part of the operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Questions from council? Alana, Jen, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing, thanks. Great presentation. Thank you.
Sebastian, I noticed today, just looking around town, increased number of military personnel. Do you know what the numbers are?
Yes, so right now, everybody on the ground or shortly arriving, we're looking at about 550 personnel from various nations. The Belgians, the Swedes, US, Canada, the Brits. But we're looking at about 550, give or take maybe a couple more. I'm sure that people that work in the administration know the exact figure. And I'm more just, I've heard the number 550 being thrown around.
Okay, and that also been contacted by several media personnel, so they're coming in this week also.
We're still looking to confirm the exact number, but yes, the public affairs officer is working with some both local, international, and national media to embed them within parts of the operation. And so when relevant to the specific region, we've been coordinating with those local authorities to see if they would approve having these media attend the part of the operation that is in their region. So such as Tuktoyaktuk, we're looking to send some media embeds. And so we're working with the hamlet now to see if there's any issues with that first before we send a group up.
Any further questions, comments from council? Great, well, thanks very much, and we certainly appreciate the updates and seeing the operations roll out. I mean, I know there's a lot of moving parts and in different parts of the Beaufort Delta, so we certainly appreciate the updates, and we look forward. We still have to drop by for lunch sometime, and then we'll look forward to more of the process, more of the operation rolling out.
Absolutely, thank you for having me. If there are any questions following this meeting, just feel free to send it to the mayor's office, and I'll be more than happy to answer the questions or concerns. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, item number 5, public question period. So this is the part of the agenda where we'll take any questions from the public. Doug Paul, do you have a question, comment? Yeah, just you have to go up to the mic and press the mic just because we're also broadcasting live. Just press the button there and then yeah, it'll light up. Perfect.
I live next door in the Bertha Allen apartments. And we're having a problem there. We have drunks coming in off the street. They're twice now we've seen them having sex in the building. They drink in there, they stay there all night. When they're asked to leave, they don't. We called the police. And the landlord, he's asked us to call the police because the police won't come when he talks. And, and when we call them, they come right away. They have told us though, that the only thing they can do is get them out of the building. And, according to the NWT laws, the only thing that can ever be done is to give them a fine, which, a small fine, which they can pay, and that's the end of it. So we're having a problem over there. We don't know how they're getting in. Whether somebody's letting them in and what. We just don't know what to do. I don't know who's in charge of that building.
Yeah, so that building, I believe, is owned and operated by the Inuvik Housing Authority.
Mhm.
So their office is just on Main Street, just down from the MLA office, and this one side of the joint, the joint secretariat in the similar building. So I think Chris Church is the acting manager of the Inuvik Housing Authority.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be who's responsible for that building and the security and safety of the building. So these are people who are coming into the building who aren't tenants and don't belong in the
Yeah.
building, but they're getting access into the building.
They're getting in there somehow.
So I would think between the RCMP and the housing authority, they should be able to. I would hope monitor and fix that so that it's safe for, yourself and Paul and other tenants in the building, because it is a seniors complex, so
Yeah.
there's definitely a vulnerable population in that building
Mm.
that shouldn't have to be policing the front door. Alana or Councilor Merrow, any comments or direction on this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mayor Clarkson. They should be talking to Inuvik Housing and make a formal complaint there and list all the different events. And I will follow up with Chris Church.
Okay,
This has already been done many times. And it just keeps happening and happening over and over again.
yeah, and unfortunately, it's not our jurisdiction, but we
Yeah.
can, as Councilor Merrill said in her other job, she will be contacting Chris Church, who's a manager, and getting something done, because we don't want another Nova situation where the building is used by, drug dealers and other people, and it's just not right that a seniors building should be having to go through that also. So let's hope this time something can be done, and thanks for coming to council and presenting that.
Great, thank you.
Just. Perfect, thanks. Okay, we're gonna move to the regular agenda items. Item number 6, the adoption of the minutes for the February 10th and 12th meeting. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconded by Councilor Dave. You move? Yeah, good. All in favor?
Yes,
Thanks. And then just the action items, some coming out of that meeting, number 7.1. Just looking at them, if there's any updates, just on Inuvik Works, we put out a interim manager position, received applications on that. We'll be screening those and hopefully have a interim manager. We're saying interim because we've got funding until the end of March, but hopefully be able to secure additional funding for that. Today, Melinda and I met with a potential funding organization. Hey, Paul, thanks for coming in. potential funding organization that's willing to fund, Inuvik Works for some operations money, so that was good and positive. And we will have an item number 2, the territorial power, intervention. We'll have our legal counsel brief us at the March 10th meeting on how those, that intervention is going. Nothing new on the boat launch, and then on the land acquisition, that will be. That's still in process. We're just starting that discussion with the Department of Lands or Lands Division. Any questions on any of those action items? Okay, moving to new business, direction to bid. Oh, okay, so this is what we've narrowed down the potential properties that the town would bid on to clean up. And so we just need a motion on this, right? Yes. Okay, moved by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Raymond. Any further discussion? So it comes down to 3 properties, and I think there was even a picture of those properties. I think that all 3 of them are trailers.
Yes.
Yeah. So cleanup, we've estimated roughly 30,000 per property. If they're trailers, it's probably gonna be less than that because we're hooking on, dragging them out of, disposing of them, or if somebody wants them, they can have them. We'll clean up the rest of the lot and then it'll go on our sale. And that's only if no one else bids on those. If somebody else wants to acquire any of those properties, clean it up, do whatever they want, they will certainly have first choice. We're only bidding the last minute of the auction time. So if somebody else, if anybody else would like those properties, they can certainly have lots of opportunities to bid on those. We would only bid on them to get them cleaned up and then put them out for sale. Any further questions on that? All in favor? Motion carried. Okay, item number 9.1. Bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw. This is again on the commissioner's land for the cemetery.
Yes.
Moved by Councilor Gillis, second by Councilor Wayman. Any questions on that? All in favor? Motion carried.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Sorry to clarify now, so this is actually going to be a bylaw. So we do have to do a first reading of that bylaw because we have to change the zone
Okay,
from park to community use. So tonight is the first reading, and then we have at our March 10th and 12th week, we have to have a public consultation and then do the second and third reading to enact the bylaw.
okay,
Okay,
so stay tuned. There will be more.
so tonight, though, if we could make that motion, like the first reading, so.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay, so the motion that you just made or accepted, be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council hereby approves survey sketch, long numbers, for titling and issuing first reading for the same, for the rezoning from P Park to CU community use as per zoning bylaw. So do we need another motion on that, or just what we just did? Yeah, okay, so that's what you moved because it is the first reading. Okay. Next, we have the departmental updates, and we will start with corporate services and then just work our way down the list. Come on up, Stephen. You're on.
Good evening, everyone. The corporate services,
brief report on what we've been doing for a while. Next slide. Quantitative updates, we have the capital projects report for 2025. Not much, most of the capital expenditure projects for 2025 are yet to take off. The other directors will be speaking on the other areas that they handle as far as that is concerned. The operating budget figures are being entered and the variance analysis reporting will resume before the end of the first quarter. Our focus has been largely on getting our books ready in preparation for the 2024 audit. We want to see how we can meet the 120 days after end of financial year deadline for getting our audits to market. Qualitative update, what we've accomplished. We've sent in our reports for 2024 to marker, and they've started reviewing them, and they've raised a number of items, number of queries that we're working on right now with directors, and all hands are on deck to ensure we're able to get across to them with satisfactory responses. We concluded the RFP for audit services, and I've been getting questions from the other auditors. There were 6 auditors, so we get questions from those that didn't make it, how it went, and details of the evaluation process, which I've been responding to. And yeah, EPR Yellow Life, they are going to get back to me on the schedule and when we're going to take up. Right now, we're not ready for them because we haven't. We're not at the place where we want to be right now concerning our readiness for the audit, but we still have some time, and things are moving on smoothly. What's coming up? 2025 auction coming up on March 6th. The list has been finalized, I hope. But people still have last minute opportunity to take their names off the list. Preparation for of statistic Canada report that is yet to be done, which we're planning to do in another 1 week or 2 weeks. Ongoing reconciliation of the 2024 accounts towards finalizing them for audits going on. And yeah, that's basically everything.
Thanks, Stefan. Stephen? Any questions from councilors? Stephen, now that we're into our new budget and the first budget that this council has approved, will you be able to put together a 1-page budget which will have what the approved budget is, the variance, and then what the actual is, the variance, and any comments on that? Because that would be useful for council as we go from now until May, when we have to pass our final budget. If we can, as we're moving along each month, see where the estimates are and see what projects are taking off. Can you produce that? That would then go into the council package for each of the directors' reports?
Yes, yeah, I'm trying to do that for the next council.
Yeah, that would definitely be helpful. Okay. Councilor Merrow, Councilor Parrott, any other questions?
None, thank you.
None for me, thanks.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Moving to, we don't have infrastructure?
No, the projects are ongoing and Daniel is on.
Okay, let's go to protective services. Mr. Larman.
There we go. Yeah.
For some stats first. So basically, this is just from January first to current, last week, let's say. We've been exceptionally busy in the last little bit, I would say the last week or so. We've just heard sirens in town and everything else. What we've seen in the news. In terms of our responses, we've had 80, let me just grab the details off of this. For municipal enforcement, they've had 83 total responses since the start of the year. And what we're doing is we're tracking every interaction that they have when they go out on patrol, when they go do animal control, traffic stops or traffic patrols, any other type of assistance, and then transportation is any interaction with taxis, so public transportation. So there's been 25 animal control incidents or responses where the pound is currently full. We're trying to rectify that, get some animals out. We're making some arrangements with some shelters in the south, as well as a combined effort with communications to get some more adoption notices out. We had a few animals go out for adoption tests, swing and a miss on a couple of them, and unfortunately we were home. So it's just part of the whole introduction thing for people. We've got 15 separate foot patrols. That may be anywhere ranging from driving around throughout town to walking up and down the main downtown corridor. A bunch of different things. We've had 23 separate traffic enforcement responses. We've really been cracking down on fire lanes and accessible parking spots. So we've been going to the rec center, we've been going to the hospital and other locations. We've been issuing warnings to begin with. We determined that the people are getting not the best kind of guidance at the hospital, especially about where they can park. But we're meeting with hospital management just to discuss that about signage and other options that are available for elders and others attending to the hospital. Just so we're not ticketing people that probably should have a accessible parking tag. The fire lane, we've been a little bit more harsh on that. So basically, we're approaching it from the principle of somebody's in the vehicle. They haven't abandoned it, it can be moved. If they're not with their vehicle, they get a ticket. So we've been following up on that. We've issued a number of tickets for that. And especially at the rec center and the hospitals, and we focus for that just because those are kind of high test areas that we see a lot of this. And then around transportation, taxis have until the end of the month, this month to complete their licensing, registration, and everything else they need to do. So provide safety inspections, proof of insurance. They do a vehicle inspection with their staff as well. So we've been scheduling them throughout. We're about halfway through the licensed taxis. We've been working with them throughout. So from the fire side, we've had 35 responses. 9 of those are medical assists. We had 1 full structure fire last week. We've had 5 other fires, which include vehicle fires and smaller fires. We've had 16 nuisance or technical alarm responses and 4 other responses, which was search and rescue and other mutual aid responses. Around the nuisance and technical alarm, so we have issued $4,500 in invoices this year. We are working with a number of different landlords, you can see there's a lot of them on there as well. So we allowed 2 free ones, and then after that, in the same building, we'll start invoicing at $1,500 per response. We've done a lot of work with some of the larger commercial landlords that are the main cause of this. I'll get into this kind of my operational update about what we've done, but we ultimately want to stop responding to these, whether it's a technical fault or nuisance alarm. From the public comments about access to the building, that's obviously something we've been seeing with some commercial buildings, where unfortunately people are entering it. One building we've been working with, a kind of a notorious one, they have taken some steps to secure the building. They've done a lot around the fire safety itself in terms of the alarm panel and other things, and working with local contractors to make sure that it's meets the proper requirements, is safe and better for the residents. So we've been really happy with getting some positive responses. Nonetheless, we still have to recover our costs as a municipality. We can't be doing their maintenance for them, and we can't be doing their security for them. So that's where those invoices are coming from. Let's move over to the next one. For our quality update, not as many pictures, just we've been, again, very, very busy. A lot of stuff we can't actually show pictures around it. For training, we finished off our emergency medical responder course. We have 12 certified people. It was 7 people recertified, 5 new participants. And we finished that just at the first week of February. We have formalized our NFPA 1001 professional firefighter program. We had 6 candidates enrolled through College of the Rockies, where they're going to write the first exam within the next week or so, and then do the practical evaluation in the month following. Under strategic plans, we've been doing a standard operating guideline review. It's in progress. We did our Q1 meeting where we updated a good chunk of them. We're doing this on a quarterly basis, meeting with the officer group, and just updating everything to make sure they're modern and responsive. We also did a large emergency plan update. We reviewed that with the SAO and Mayor Clarkson. We are going to be doing a council presentation as well, be one of the off cycle for the presentation or the director's reports weeks, so that council will have familiarity with what their roles are, what we're going to be doing as a municipality, and how we've improved to make it more accessible and really improve the communications and accessibility to the public. From an IT point of view, we have purchased our VoIP phone system. Hardware is purchased directly from Cisco. It is on its way and expected to come here mid-March or thereabouts. We've also purchased the network upgrade equipment. Again, that's also from Cisco. It's just standardizing with the existing systems that we have right now. Most of it has arrived in town, and we are ready to start installing it. So the installation is going to be with our contracted consultant, IT consultant, will be coming up to work with us and help guide the actual strategic implementation of this. There were some significant cost savings by going that route instead of going through the company that provides VoIP phone for services. So we decided to tack that on with a few other capital projects, just some really good cost savings. We intend to use local skilled labor to do the actual work itself, with guidance from the contractor itself to make sure that the back end stuff is implemented and our overall plan is working. In terms of our capital projects, we purchased our extractor and dryer. That's on its way. I don't know exactly how long it is now. They're going to be providing me update, but we've actually signed a contract on that. We purchased our snow machine that is in the bays right now, participating in search rescue. So it's thank you for council. I'm sure the people that we picked up are very happy for the support as well. We finished off our bay improvements just in the nick of time for a structure fire last week. So we now have a 4-inch pipe coming directly into the fire hall bays. Before it was constricted down to 2.5 inches. So it really impacted and that's the way it just always was. It kind of constricted our water flow capabilities. So we basically reduced the time by about a third. It was like 3 times as fast with the new system. And that came in very useful last week. On the operations side, we had issued a Fire Prevention Act order, and we followed up on that. They have completed everything to our satisfaction. It's the installation of new exit doors that meet building code requirements, an upgrade or I guess an assessment and certification of their alarm system. And when the smoke alarms in throughout the building as well. So I've confirmed that all that has been completed. So again, we're working with all commercial landlords just to make sure that they are in compliance as well. We're about 50% of the way through our apparatus airdrops. We're basically working from both ends. So we have the black iron piping installed up to the roof. We have to extend it towards the apparatus now. We have the new chargers installed on the apparatus as well. So we're seeing some improvements in the charge times for that as well. And we're hoping to connect them with this week and be finished with that. It's been extremely busy operationally. We've had a lot of incidents, especially within the past week. We've probably had about a dozen calls. High acuity, high stress. I mean, it's very complex, very stressful. We've been spending a significant amount of time with our personnel, following up on them and making sure that we're providing the proper support as an emergency services organization. I want to thank specifically RCMP and EMS. They've been instrumental in a lot of this. We've worked closely with them for multiple responses over the last while. And we're lucky to have other partners and allied agencies in this service. So next one, please. So coming up, we have our ongoing NFPA 1001 professional firefighters training. We are still continuing on with our NFPA 1021 Fire Officer 2 training, and we're going to be doing an in-house NFPA 1002 driver operator training to produce more local driver operators and pump operators. From a strategic plan point of view, we're continuing with our operational guideline point or review. We're doing emergency planning training now. We have the plan developed. Now it's time to move on for staff training and other stakeholders. We'll be doing more stakeholder consultations as well, meeting with other organizations with resources, see specifically what they have available and what they see as a contribution with this as well. And then our wildland protection plan training as well, what we're going to be doing in consultation with the ECC. Again, from a IT side, it's the installation of the VoIP phone system itself, and then as well as the March implementation of the network upgrade. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting that improved throughout all the buildings. For capital projects, we are moving on to our wildland interface protection purchase. So there's some equipment that we need to buy from that, hose lines and sprinklers. So we're just getting quotes on those right now, just to get the best pricing for that from a number of different vendors. And then we're hoping to push the button on that for the next couple of weeks. And we'll have that in place for our wildland protection training that we're going to do with BCC. We're doing, looking at doing the hydrant refurbishment as well. So we've been working with Daniel and his crew with infrastructure as well, just to make sure that we're all on the same page with this. We're hoping to use Inuvik Works participation with this as well. So we are hopefully going to be utilizing some of the budget that's been assigned for this to get other the workers through Inuvik Works to come out with our crews as well, just to build rapport with them, with our personnel, as well as give them some skills out in the field as well. And we're also going to be, we're testing out a few different thermal imagers. I got a couple actually from some of our vendors where they actually want us to demo them. And so they're sending those up just for us to give them a shot before we actually push the button on any purchases. And again, so yeah, that's kind of all we have, just actually the operation this, we don't know what's coming up for operations. So that is all I have right now. Any questions?
Thank you, Brian. Questions, council? Councilor Raymond?
How many gallons is your tanker truck?
2,500 for the tanker and then 1,500 for pump one.
I just noticed, and you just mentioned you upgraded, it's just a comment.
Yeah.
When you upgrade, I just noticed your trucks are coming quicker. I pumped 13 cubes and you brought 3 trucks. That's what I noticed. It's like, where do they get the waters?
We've done a lot of other planning with that as well, because we use 2 different fill sites for that one. So we set up a hydrant where we could access that, and then we had the fire hall as well. So we were kind of rotating back and forth, just depending on what it was. But we've done a ton of training around setting up our ponds, getting things moving, especially our water shuttle timing. So we know our exact flow right now.
Looked good anyways.
We were able to use the big deck gun, and we were pushing about 1,200 GPM, which is absolutely wild for a pond operation. And thank you for your assistance as well. It was great to see it there.
Any further questions from council?
With this 1001,
Councilor Day?
1001 training, is there gonna be room for more recruitment?
Yeah, we're always looking for new recruits. We're kind of full right now in the sense we have 40 current roster of people. So with 1001, what we typically do is identify people who are showing more aptitude, more involvement with the department as well, and just more for long-term longevity in Inuvik. It's a significant time commitment for them as well, because it's about a 6 to 8 month program, just depending on how we stage it. A lot of book learning, a lot of hands-on skills training, and ranging from the training the base, just how to put on your gear, all the way up to live fire attack and coordination. So
Awesome, it's good to see.
we love it. It's really good to be able to do that internally.
Great, thanks very much, Brian. Good report.
Thank you.
Parks, Recreation and Leisure Services, Steve. The biodiversity cup?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my report, I'll get to that. Just here to give my department update for the month of January and February. So I'm gonna start with the library. We've seen an increase in visitors over the month of January and February. We're driven by our extended hours of operation, reading challenges, and literacy events. Notable programs, the reading challenge in February. So people are, they can stop by the library, pick up a sheet that has, I think it's got like 30 blank books, and the idea is to fill each book or each blank space with the title of a book, and then you hand it in and become eligible for a prize. There's also beading and painting, and some craft programs for different and various age groups and interests. So we are currently open 3 nights a week now till 8 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I also included some patron stats. We saw a total of 1,196 people through our doors, with a demographic of 817 adults and 379 children, teens. Next slide. Swimming and aquatics, we had a round of swimming lessons. They were fully booked. Just highlights the success of our aquatic program. Classes range from beginner to advanced. It's kind of, mom and taught or parents and taught, sorry, into, swimmer 5, swimmer 6, with our certified instructors, just ensuring safe and an engaging environment for people attending swim lessons. The aquatics teams are adding more swimming lessons coming up in the next couple days. Additionally, open swim times remain popular and continue to be free for residents. The hot tub parts for repair are in Inuvik, but scheduling has become a little cumbersome and challenging with infrastructure. Sorry, I should rephrase that. It's not infrastructure's fault by any means. They're doing the best they can. It's just the availability of the contractor. The arena, most notably the past weekend, hosting the 36th annual IRC Cup. We had lots of teams from 3 different territories in the region for 4 days. We saw an impressive amount of turnout of spectators, fostering strong community spirit support for players. The event was a great success, although these successes didn't go without some challenges, but thank you to the organizers, volunteers, referees, and most importantly, my staff to ensure smooth operations. Just quickly, you guys heard about Operation Inuvik 2025 already, but so far so good from the building. The MSC is being utilized as central headquarters for coordinating operational activities, housing personnel, and facilitating communication. And just continually coordinating with various levels of the military has ensured seamless delivery of municipal services. So I think we're doing a great job there coordinating with the military and people using the facility. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Questions, councilors?
Sure.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes, there was, I don't know exactly what happened, but there was a backup of some sort while the military was here. Can you give us some information on what happened there?
I know there was some type of sewer line, but I can't really speak to the whole thing as that's an infrastructure scenario now.
Has it been resolved?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%
Been resolved.
was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, as far as I know, my only concern was the crawl space, which was already a bit of an issue. It got flooded again, and I think this is why I'm asking. I don't know, but I think they're trying to dry out that area, and it's a kind of a permafrost, trying to keep that area frozen long term. So I'd like to know more about it if you went down and get back here.
Yeah.
I'm asking. Other quick question, just on the challenge of the contractors for the hot tub, I totally understandable. But that is our as and when contractor, I'm guessing that is gonna install it.
From my understanding, it's an aquatic company that's gonna be coming in to install it.
Okay.
Any further questions? Councilor Raymond?
What was the challenges at the IRC?
Just with the influx of people, keeping the arena tidy, keeping the games on schedule, but there were some challenging participants. That made things a little awkward and uncomfortable for other people that were in the facility, but I'm working on a report to send back to the tournament organizers and to the IRC with recommendations on how to correct those things for future tournaments.
Okay, we just heard lots of stories about the weekend, so.
I can appreciate all those stories, and I was there on Sunday working to try to resolve those issues, and I'm continuing to work to resolve those issues.
Just a comment, I was there all weekend, and overall, I think the organizers and staff did a really good job. You know, it was good.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people through those doors. The library had 1,000 for the month of January. I think we probably had that Friday and Saturday morning. It'd be interesting to put a door counter for that complex because there was so many pickup trucks parked that it actually overflowed the parking lot, and people were parking in other areas, there were so many people there, yeah. It was great, great event, and, it certainly brings in people from all of the communities, there were people from Sax Harbor, Ulu, Paulatuck, McPherson, Sagatuck, Klavik. And then, you know, I think Joe Haven and other places where the players came from, so that was great. Good job to all of your staff. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Jen, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to make a quick statement to acknowledge the positive changes that are being seen at the library with the additional programming and the additional hours and the positive impact I'm hearing it around the community. So well done for your staff and yourself.
Great, thanks. Okay, Charlotte, we're ready for your update.
So what's happening in the department? We are flying out on Thursday to attend the Vancouver Outdoor Adventure Show, as the department has always been doing. So the show is happening on March 1st and 2nd. We also got selected to have a presentation at the town on stage on the 2nd. So we'll be presenting Dempster Highway, Inuvik, what's done in there, and tourist attractions and whatnot, and the ITH all the way to the Arctic Ocean, and answer public questions. That will be done by the marketing coordinator. We are also working a lot on the Arctic Development Expo with the mayor as well as the steering committee. The website for buying passes and everything is up and running. We started to send out sponsorship packages to people that we know and have been reaching out, but the actual website will be advertised tomorrow, lunch tomorrow, when the actual marketing coordinator will be back at work from her holidays tomorrow. Then next slide. So different projects that we've been working on February 4th, the town has taken part into the Gender Mobility 2030 tourism strategy. We've given our thoughts and with DSAO as well as the mayor, all attended. Little update on the town website. We are upgrading it, and it should be done by June. So we'll have a friendly, user-friendly website, easier to access and find info, as well as for us working on the website and updating it. It will be much easier to do so. Also, we sent a proposal. We submitted a proposal that got actually selected. And so the town of Inuvik is the town that will host the NWT Tourism Conference and AGM on November 4th and 6th at the Midnight Sun Complex. So it will gather around 150 tourism stakeholders throughout the NWT. Also, the department submitted 2 grant applications for TI, one regarding a marketing tool platform, and the second one will be for the bathrooms at Chichinquay Park. So we're waiting on an answer from them, but we'll see. I was also meeting with Ken Moore. So that's pretty much it, what's happening right now. And Duncan Development Tourism Department.
Thank you, Charlotte. Questions for Charlotte on any activities for economic development tourism? Councilor Gillis?
The bathroom project, like what kind of bathroom is it? Sorry, did I miss that one?
So it's 2 public bathrooms, accessible bathrooms with a concession on one side that will be located at the end of the driveway parking lot of the Welcome Center. That was part of the original plan of the building of the Welcome Center. But I believe because of budget constraints, it was left out at the moment. in 2021 when it was built. So,
Go ahead.
Does that mean that they'll be, like, is the plan to open them for like 24/7?
no, that's not the plan.
When you're functioning?
Yes. And we'll have to work out like hours and how the access will work. It's not done yet. But we'll have to work out with the maintenance crew and janitorial services as well, so.
Thank you.
Any further questions? And I guess we're, what are we, January, February, so we have another newsletter coming out in March
Correct.
on the different events and activities and stuff going on with the town, so that will come out in
Councilor
in
Gillis
March.
will be on the next newsletter. Your picture will be out.
Did I sign for that? You just kidding. Oh, no.
No further questions, don't see any hands raised, okay, thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Right, that's all of the departmental updates. Information items. Cindy, do we have any other information items? No, any information items from any of the counselors? Nothing seeing at this point, just a reminder. To the other counselors, Counselor Gillis, myself, and Cindy are going to Yellowknife, for the NWT Association of Communities AGM, so we'll be down there for the rest of the week. And then back on Sunday, the AGM is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the mayors and chiefs boot camp is Wednesday, so I leave tomorrow, and then Cindy and Melinda leave the next day.
I just have one thing. I'm not gonna be returning till next week. I come back on the 6th. So Director DeComu is going to be the acting SAO. So please be kind to him for his first run.
We're kind to everybody, yeah. We're very kind council. Counselor Gillis.
Are we moved into council concerns? Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we're there next, so we're on the council concerns. Counselor Gillis.
yay. So I kind of have a concern regarding the public concern from tonight, like, I know that that's not our jurisdiction, but they are like our elders and our seniors, and that's kind of disgusting what we heard from him, and I couldn't ask questions because I felt a little bit choked up about it, but can we write a letter like to the Inuvik Housing Authority? Because I mean, he brought to our attention, I think it's important and it's valid. I mean, basically, there's a bunch of things that kind of go in my head. The police are saying there's nothing that they can do. I mean, I want to tell Wayman, let's go sit there and push them down the stairs when they walk there. That's how I'm feeling about it right now. And I know he's feeling the same way because we are passionate about that. But that means to me that the landlord is not doing their job. And then if his distress says to me that he's brought it up to IHA. So I think it needs to go farther, and I'm glad Alana's on the call, but I mean, I don't want to put it just on her shoulders. I mean, there's a level Alana can take from this, but I think that we should do a very upset letter, like to support our, like, I mean, we have a public concerns for a reason, and I think that we should support them, because I kind of feel like maybe they left a little unsupported. But I really think that we should write something, because that's disgusting.
No, totally agree.
It's Alana here. Can I speak?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I can't give you any information, but I can tell you don't have all the information. I can also tell you we're working on it. That's all I can say. So you can write a letter, but quite honestly, it's going to land on my desk. So things are being done to address the issue.
Here.
I think we definitely needed to address. Counselor Raymond, did you have got some comments?
No, I was the same as Belinda. It's kind of disgusting and the guy was almost in tears here. So he's obviously scared.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's more to this story and I'm sure there always is. But for the RCMP not to go there, that's pretty low. That's our elders. Even, you know, they should write a letter to RCMP and ask them to check more. It's their job to keep the peace. And even though we don't have both sides of the story, it's still the elders' place and it still tugs on heartstrings because we all have elders. We all know elders, we all live here, and we all have grandparents. Anyways, that's just supporting Linda and the same thing.
And I do think that maybe MACA should be involved with like a rental officer and stuff like that, because I know if it's happening there, it's happening at other facilities that.
So MACA has nothing to do with it. MACA has no role in rentals. So,
Officer, sheriff, or somebody, yeah.
I think the other thing that I had planned to do was to call Jesse or contact with the RCMP and just have a discussion with him that it has been raised and maybe that will also
I like that.
get them more responsive and it doesn't make sense, you know, for the manager of the housing authority to say, well, the RCMP won't come if we come, but they'll come if you come. It shouldn't be on the shoulders of the tenants for sure. So Alana, we'll make sure we.
Peter, can I just clarify that, Peter? He's not talking about the manager of Inuvik Housing Authority. He was talking about the building caretaker. And people confuse that person as being the manager. So this is, I understand there's a concern. We're taking it seriously, but there's a lot I can't speak to. So I will go back and do my job on this.
Okay, we'll appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other council concerns? Speaking of elders, or information of elders, we certainly lost a great elder on the weekend with Winston Moses. I mean, seeing Winston walk around town daily and stopping and shaking hands with everybody, and I mean, it's a great loss, a great elder and a great loss for the community. I know there were other deaths in the community this weekend, but certainly when you lose someone like Winston, the whole community feels that, so, yeah. No more concerns, no action items. I don't believe there's an in-camera session for anything that I know of, so motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilor Gillis. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.